Lakefront Music Fest is back and bigger than ever. Don't miss out on Rock Night on Friday, July 11th, headlined by Foreigner with support from 38 Special and Loverboy. Tickets are on sale now. Well, we've got your chance to win some tickets right now. Be caller number 11 to win a pair of tickets for July 11th. Call 800-320-5326.
Yeah, just think of it now, man. Come on. It's snowing. The weather's terrible. Maybe you're cussing your way to work. July 11th, you're going to be loving some Foreigner down Prior Lake. That is a great festival. I really enjoy it.
Oh, that's a fun one.
That is a fun one. They got Foreigner, 38 Special, and Loverboy. Come on now. Get all fat and sassy. Let's have some fun. Let it snow. Power to the morning show.
I feel like everybody's excited about the snow, right?
I like the snow.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
First one's always fun.
Yeah, the first one's always a good time.
Yeah, man. And apparently it's going to be warmer again here not long. So we'll be all right.
Probably should have picked up the dog crap before it got covered, though, because now it's just going to sit there for the next 6 months.
Amen.
Should have got it first. Well, I'll worry about that in April.
Let God sort it out.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
How about this? You just mentioned it, Flash, but how about this for a Saturday of football? It's probably Eastern times, noon, SMU and Penn State, then Texans and Chiefs, Clemson at Texas, Steelers at Ravens, and then Tennessee at Ohio State.
Wow.
That's
I didn't know
all
the
on
NFL
Saturday.
was matching up too
Yeah.
on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know why.
That seems
Because
odd.
they can, I guess.
No, I know they
Did you
can.
say is it Steelers Ravens?
Steelers at
Yeah,
Ravens.
that's the game right
Yeah.
there. Do you guys
Really?
are you guys watching that end season NFL show?
No, but
No.
then
I watched episode 3 last night. Skipped 1 and 2. Don't know why. Just went straight to 3. And it was actually, for me, worth watching because I like Tomlin a lot.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah, I like to see how he deals with players. I like, obviously, Stefanski, and watching how they're struggling, how he's dealing with his players was interesting. What's the wide receiver's name from Cincinnati?
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase?
Like him way more than I thought I was
he's
going to.
great.
Really good. Is he going to hit that Triple Crown?
He might.
And apparently nobody's done it since like the Stone Age. Seriously, I mean, I don't know. I'm not good at remembering things, but it's something he probably will get and hadn't been done very often. So I don't know. I found it to be interesting. So you had the Browns, you had the Ravens. I like Harbaugh too. I kind of like that guy. I don't think I'd like the other Harbaugh, but I like that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I've heard he's great. I mean, for many, many years, they're like, he is one of the best coaches, like authentic. Every player that loves playing for the Ravens because of him.
They mic up that linebacker number 0 for them.
Okay. Patrick Queen? Wait.
What is it? 0? The big time linebacker for the Ravens.
Griswold.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase leads the league with 102 receptions. Amon-Ra St. Brown has 95. He leads the league in yards at 14-13. And our guy Jefferson is at 1243. And he leads the league in touchdowns with 15. Terry McLaurin has 11.
Were Chase and Jefferson the same year out of
No,
year apart,
they
right?
played together.
But they were
Yeah,
teammates.
with Burrow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They won the
the-
national championship.
Yeah.
3 of them. Yeah. By the way, I'm
Wonder
talking
why.
about Roquan Smith. That's who I'm talking about.
Oh, that's
He's
what you're
He's
talking
so
about.
good.
He's so good. They have him mic'd up, and it's fun. He's out there having fun. It's really cool. He's not that big a dude either comparatively, but he knocks the piss out of people, man.
Is Roquan not very big?
6'1", 230.
Yeah, that's not huge.
Yeah, right. So I like this show.
That's a huge
I've been told it wasn't very good, and again, I didn't watch the first 2 episodes, but episode 3 was pretty good.
Well, you know what I want to watch more, just kind of hate watch it, is the Aaron Rodgers deal on Netflix.
Yeah, I gotta watch it.
I just
Maybe I'll watch it on the
I just
plane.
have to watch that. And I know a large part's gonna be like, this is kind of annoying, but
How many episodes?
I don't know.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
Isn't it 2 seasons?
Kind of bored
That's
with
what
them.
I heard.
Just bored with it. I don't know.
No, me too. I know.
I know. The thing is, like, I
Much.
already kind of know what he's going to be saying and what he's going to be doing, but I just want to see it for my own eyes.
Yeah.
He's an enigma.
Yeah.
He's a weirdo.
It's a fun word to call yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
Like Edward Nigma the Riddler.
Yeah, right.
Best part about this whole schedule that you laid out there, Saucer,
Yes, sir.
is that Hawk and I will be on a plane, and hopefully we will have live TV.
Yeah.
Because going to Seattle will most likely be in a nicer plane.
Yep.
And I get the whole day to just watch football.
Yeah.
And it's going to be awesome.
I can't wait.
What time do you guys leave?
We
No, I
yet.
don't even know the
Haven't seen
schedule
it yet.
yet.
Haven't seen it yet.
I'm assuming
Well,
because we
noon.
gain hours going out there.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll probably leave at what, 1?
I would say probably 1. I think you're probably right. And I do think that not having a game till 3:15.
Well, it's 1:15 there.
1:15 out there, you're right.
So it really doesn't change. I mean, our morning,
you're right.
our morning's only just about like an hour, maybe.
Yeah, you're right.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
What is it?
I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
Zachary Halverson just texted the group.
Oh, no.
And I read.
And I quote,
I'm about an hour into this commute, and Google says I still have about 40 minutes left, though that number hasn't gone down in the last 20 minutes, as 694 is an absolute GD parking lot, and I've moved maybe a quarter bleeping mile in the last half bleeping hour.
so he's on his way here.
He's been on the road for an hour from White Bear Lake, and it says another 40 minutes to go. But as he just said, that number hasn't gone down in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
so
it's
it still
bad out
says
there,
40
guys.
minutes.
He also said, I'm not happy.
Yeah, and he also said we'll probably have to call .com Tom Pelissero because
I wonder if the I'm not happy thing has anything to do with his commute, or just he just wanted to, make a cry for help.
Maybe.
maybe
We can
this
talk him through it.
You know what the worst part about that situation is? Well, two things, because currently right now I have about 25 miles left before my car is empty. So I was not thinking about that as far as being stuck on Highway
Tommy will
100.
feel it.
Yes, he would. So a little bit of stupid anxiety that I created for myself there, but thankfully, Highway 100 was fine for me. The second part, and maybe Hawk, you can attest to this, you can admit it or maybe not, but as you get older in age, it's like, boy, when you got to go pee and you're stuck in your car for an hour and a half to 2 hours, sometimes, when it hits, it's like, I got to go.
So wait a minute.
Grab a bottle.
Is that finally then validation for Tommy Olson,
You're right.
who says he pees in Gatorade bottles all the time, and Paul Allen, who pees in bottles during Vikings games? These are two guys that are trying to get the job done and just do what they got to do.
Well,
so you're on their team. You understand it, at least.
I would understand it. In that situation, I would understand it.
See,
now,
that's
I
the
feel
thing.
like Tommy just does it because he likes to do it.
100%.
Exactly.
He's hoping somebody sees him doing it.
Yeah. We don't drink liquids so we can pee in a bottle. You know what I mean? We don't.
He does. Take a look here.
Yeah, no, you're right though. Listen, it's a waiting game. It's a game you don't like playing because it hurts. It's like when you forget to wear gloves and your hands get really cold and they hurt really, really bad. It's like that, only it's your wee-wee. It's not a good thing.
By the time Zach gets here, he's going to have to turn around and go home anyway. Just go home.
That's, this is no joke. I am highly critical, but that's why I wouldn't want to come in at 6:30 or 7 as opposed to coming in when we come in.
Roads are much worse.
Not just when it snows,
There's traffic.
period.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with traffic ever.
Totally. Traffic.
I am the devil on the roads. I am the worst.
Yeah, we've been spoiled by never having to deal with traffic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Driving way, way, way before rush hour.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway.
So you guys got here before it even started snowing, right?
No, it was snowing.
real hard.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
crazy.
it was.
So much fun.
Okay.
It's nasty.
So
out
much
there.
fun.
Yeah.
But there was no one on the roads.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the
Because the
advantage.
last report that I heard before I went to bed was like, don't expect the snow to about 5 a.m. And I'm like, oh, okay. And you guys are already here by 5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
no,
was
it's coming in.
It was coming down sideways at 3:45.
Oh.
Yeah.
No. But we made it. But if I'm Zach, I just turn around. What's the difference?
yeah.
Just go home.
Go home, yeah.
Who cares?
Good effort, though, Zach.
Yeah, Zach,
I mean, what is Abbott going to do? Yell at you more?
Right. Tell you to post more on Instagram.
I mean,
Yeah, is he going to notice you're not here?
it's a net loss.
I mean, you never know.
Yeah, I'd turn around.
Sorry for being late. I didn't even know that you weren't here.
Thanks for telling me.
You're here?
That's even worse.
The news
you're here?
normally is brought to you by Carbonis. And by the way, here's the only news story I'll run for you. Thank you, Carbonis. This is info about the snowstorm.
Between 5 to 7 inches in the heaviest band that looks to set up
Metallica.
along I-94.
Right.
So that's all the way across from western Minnesota, and you take I-94 southeast towards the Twin Cities Metro, even carrying over into western Wisconsin. We'll be talking 2 to 3, maybe 2 to 4 inches as far south as maybe the Mankato area.
There you go. Here come. Heaviest snow game you ever played in, Fargo Flash, you go first.
I played in 2 games. One game was in high school in the semifinal, lots of snow, and then I played at Illinois my sophomore year, probably the saddest game of my Gopher career. We're at Champaign, up 12, snowstorm with the ball, 4 minutes to go, we lost. Up 12. 4 minutes to go with
Was there
the
a
ball.
fumble or two involved or not?
No,
Onside kick?
3 and out punt. They come down, score fairly quickly. I think another stop or maybe a turnover, not an onside kick, and then they came down and scored. It was just devastating.
What kind of recall do you have of your entire career? If I looked up your career and just said, Game 6 was Penn State of your junior year, could you tell me most of it?
I could almost tell you every score of every high school game.
Oh my gosh!
College not as much. I don't know why. I think
You're kidding
it could
me.
be the hits. I don't know.
You can remember the scores from your high school football games?
If you gave me about five, if you gave me a few minutes, I think I could write the schedule down and the scores.
What was the last game in your high school career? What was the score?
28-12.
28-12. That was it a state champion win or something?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Closest game of the year.
Was it really?
Yeah.
A 16-point win was the closest game you had
we were
all
ranked
year?
top 25 in the country. Yeah, we were good.
Jesus.
Semifinal was 60-12. Quarterfinal was 60-0 versus Josh Jamel. The first round was 54-0. Game before that was 22-0. Game before that actually was 28-20. Oh my God. Game before that, I don't know.
All right, so that one was a little close.
Rookie?
No, I just remember. But college, I think it's the hits, dude. It's not. I don't know if I had many concussions, but it's just I don't remember as well.
I just think that's fascinating because Parrish has literally forgotten teams that he played for.
Yeah. Well, he's played for a lot of them, but yes.
That's a good point. When you say versus Josh Jamel, do you remember actually playing him?
He was
the quarterback?
Yeah, he was kind of the, Marnie knows this because for Minot Ryan days, he was the star quarterback of Minot, kind of a star athlete. Mm-hmm. And I competed against Josh in many other sports, basketball, and we both ran the hurdles and track.
Did you beat his ass?
And yeah. Yep. But they were from the west side of the state.
Oh yeah.
And because of travel, you would never play teams from the west, just like probably South Dakota until the playoffs rolled around. And it was a funny story because we were a really good team. But the week of the game, this is high school sports in a small state. So high school sports are elevated. They're kind of a big thing. So you're on the lead story on the news is high school sports, not the Vikings or the Gophers. And so, he was interviewed and they were saying how, yeah, they're pretty good, but they're from the East, we think we'll beat them like 50-0. Like they talked a lot of trash.
Wow.
So that, so the team was kind of fired up and so we jumped on him early and we beat him big. So
look, obviously things have worked out for Josh Jamel.
Yeah, things have worked out.
He's okay.
But I mean, look, growing up for everybody's awkward and being the star quarterback of a high school football team and looking like that must have been an absolute nightmare for Josh.
Oh, yeah, nightmare. Yeah, they put it in the bell tower after every game because he was so misfortunate looking.
And you know the story.
To go to school every day.
Yeah. And Hawk, you probably know the story because you know Josh well. But Josh goes to Minot State, local college, plays for the Minot State Beavers, is the quarterback. And then I think he followed a girlfriend to San Francisco. I think that is how I remember the story. And he's working for the Gap, but he's working in like a logistics job. And if you remember like the mid 90s, there were like the Gap khaki commercials where they would often find employees to be the stars of the commercial. So they spot this, Josh Jamel and say, would you want to do this commercial? Yeah. And that's his start.
No kidding.
That was his start?
That's from the story I know, that was his start.
So he started as an in-house model for Gap.
Not a model, though, but an employee who was working in inventory logistics, and he got asked to be a part of a commercial. Not that he was going out to. I don't think he was going out to intentionally be in acting. Kind of fell upon it, and then the next thing you know, he's an actor.
It's the burden of having those looks, right?
Yeah.
It's
right.
He wanted to be the best logistics person in the country, and he had that dream ripped from him.
Yeah.
Because his looks were so distracting.
Works for free from time to time, just doing logistics.
Exactly.
Just doing what he loves.
Yeah. Good dude.
He's a great dude.
Good dude, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's wild about what you're talking about? Going back to remembering stats and scores. It's not that because I'm on the opposite side of that. It's not that I forgot the scores. Never cared. Like I don't know what it is. I never cared about my stats. I never cared about the final score. I just played. So if you ask me,
do you remember plays?
I remember plays.
Yeah.
I remember plays. Like if Corey would do the same thing of like, okay, now I would have to do a little bit of like researching. Okay, week 7, my third year we played. Okay. Okay. I remember some of those plays. Like I would have to kind of look at the game a little bit, like maybe on paper as far as like the stats and who was out there. Because I would remember more of like players and the plays as I started to dissect it. But point is, if you ask me, even my senior year, hey, you guys just played Lennox. What was the score? I don't know. We won.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
No kidding. Wow.
And I remember sitting down with Greenway the first time that we met each other. We went to lunch in Eden Prairie after he got drafted. And this dude knew every stat for everybody that he played with.
Yeah.
He knew the score, kind of like you.
Me, yeah.
He knew, I was
I'm
like,
the same way.
I'm saying wow, I don't remember any stats of anything. And it's not that I don't remember. I never cared to remember.
Yeah. What I think is interesting, which I do think is the hits in football, is I don't remember college as clearly as high school. And I think it's, and maybe that's because we lost a lot of games, but I think it's because of the game was more intense. And I think I'm in the game and I'm playing as hard as I can, but I think the hits are.
See, I don't know. I think that
because I wasn't a lot older. I was 20 versus
normal
18.
though.
Is it?
Yeah. I also think that's part of just college is intense for a lot of reasons. If you're a college athlete, a student athlete, and you have to go to college and juggle and manage being a student
That's
athlete.
True. It's a lot more work.
For a lot of people, you don't even have the brain capacity to remember all of this stuff because you're going from one thing to another, to another, to another, to another, to another. Like you start at 5:30 in the morning, and you don't even get back to your dorm until 10 o'clock at night.
You don't get time to absorb what happened.
None of
you
it.
got to be thinking about what's happening.
They
next.
interviewed Riley Leonard, the quarterback for Notre Dame this week. What do you think of the big game? He's like, big game. He's like, we're in the middle of finals. He goes, this is Notre Dame.
Oh my
the
God.
schoolwork this week is tough.
All right, that means that Notre Dame's doing it wrong.
I'm a hammer Indiana.
Yeah, there's no chance they win if they're worried about school. That's what NIL is for.
Hey, can you
pay them to not go to school?
Because and I didn't play college ball, obviously, because I stopped growing in 6th grade. But high school football literally meant everything to me. Like, I cared so much about winning and losing because I loved my friends so much. We'd been playing since playing in the church yard when we were 5 years old,
Totally.
When you get to college, it's got to be more of a job. So I think by definition, you care less about your team and more about your own performance, Does that have
You're
anything to do
being
with it?
graded. I mean, when you walk into a film session on Sunday after a game, it's like, hey, Justin, here's your score. You got 79%. I wish you would have recovered that fumble on the goal line. Oh, like it is a job.
Yeah. Right. I can't remember, man. Was Wacker your coach?
Yeah, I was.
Seemed like the best guy ever. Was he ever mean?
A little bit. I mean, I think he got frustrated, but he was a good example. I don't know if it was a good example. I mean, the way he coaches, he protected the players.
Yeah.
So in any loss, overly accepted it, not just to the media, but also to the team. And
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
Eventually you had to say, dude, you're not on the field. Like, we lost that game. This isn't your fault. Like, it would use every season by like the 4th loss. You're like, coach, sit down. Like, we're the guys that are out there that look like,
See, I don't want a guy screaming that I'm a MFer, but I don't want a guy doing that either.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
I think there's a balance. I'd rather have the MFer than the guy who's apologizing for us. Yeah, it's just kind of lame. You feel it's lame.
See, in my experience, our head coach would find every fault in every
one?
win.
I'm sorry.
Snyder.
Okay,
Bill
yeah,
Snyder.
yeah.
He was that kind of way.
We would get in the post-game locker room after we just beat a team 63-10. And he would say, yeah, good win, but, and it's always the, but.
Yeah.
We knew this team wasn't very good going in. You guys didn't do this in the second quarter. You lost this fumble. You did that. Like, he would name 5 things that we did wrong and that we have to improve on. And so many times, especially when I was young, I'd look around and all the vets would be like, well, I guess we suck, Yeah.
Wow.
And it was always that, hey, enjoy it for about 5 minutes. And I'm going to tell you how much you guys need to improve.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then he wasn't a yeller. It's not like he would yell it like that. It was almost worse. He would say it in like sort of disappointed dad mode all the time. And then he hired all the assistant coaches that were yellers.
Yeah.
So they would do
the dirty work.
They did the dirty work.
Yeah.
I mean, they were the ones that would berate you and kick fans and MF you in every meeting, like get right in your face and like, threaten to choke you out. Like those were the dudes that you were like, I do not want to go to film today because Brent Venables is going to kill me.
God, totally. Well, I think the biggest difference, I'd say, it's kind of a feeling, but when you're in high school, Hawk, versus college and probably pro, the feeling of a victory, I felt in college was more of a feeling of relief.
Oh, wow.
Versus
That's
in high school, it's like, oh my, this is the best. Like, it's not, there was never a sense of, okay, we won, thank God.
Wow.
Now I'm not going to get yelled at
Yeah, that's
tomorrow.
a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Corey?
Flash, this is going to be fun. First ever 12-team college football playoff, right? Starts tomorrow night. So, who are your 4 winners?
Tomorrow.
Forget the spread. The actual winners.
Tomorrow, I'm gonna take Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take Penn. I'm gonna take SMU actually for the big upset.
Okay.
I'm gonna take Texas, and I'm actually gonna go Tennessee. I think Tennessee was gonna pull off the upset.
Thanks, Flash.
Take your time.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, wait, one more.
Yeah.
South Dakota State, North Dakota State.
Well, you want to do? Should we double up this week? We should.
Wait, why not?
Yeah, why not? You have a big hole to get out of.
So I floated that out there as one of the teams.
Yeah.
So I'll take South Dakota State minus 3.5.
Sure.
You'll take your North Dakota State Bison.
Yeah, I'll let you have that.
Write
Why
it
not?
up, bets.
Why
Bunch
not?
of bets. Write it up, baby.
Book it.
Sauce will do sports when we come back. Tom Pelissero in like 20 minutes. This is the Power Trip Morning Show on the Fan.
Time now for the Vikings Report, presented by Hy-Vee, the official grocery partner of the Minnesota Vikings. Linebacker Jonathan Grenard joins the Power Trip next, thanks to Hy-Vee.
Short segment here because we have .com Tom in the next segment. Be careful out there, everybody. Like I have to give you breaking news. You know you need to be careful, but Zacho's giving me up to date, up to the moment updates, and he just saw a school bus that is off the road. It's pretty bad out there apparently, but just stay home if you can. If you can't, take your time, and we'll try our best to entertain you and tell you what's going on. So a very, very short segment this time, featuring.
It's time for Fan 5 on the Power Trip, presented by All Around Property Preservation.
Thank you.
That's
so
right.
I wanted to get Ben's thoughts because 2 days ago when the news broke that the Falcons were benching Kirk Cousins, Ben Lieber tweeted, Atlanta failed to adapt to what Kirk does best. And I wanted to get your thoughts on the benching of Kirk Cousins.
Well, I mean, for the first few weeks, it was national news. Everybody was talking like, what are they doing in Atlanta? Like they're going pistol formation. They're doing all this other stuff. They don't have him on the move. They don't have him under center. They're not doing the thing. It's like they didn't watch any film in the last 2 years when he was in KOC's system.
Weird.
And so that was a talking point. They're like, why is he off to a slow start? I'm like, well, this is a brand new offense. And now in hindsight, it really looked like they were running an offense that's going to fit Penix more than it's going to fit Kirk. And it's like,
that's ridiculous.
Did they set him up to fail from the very beginning? Like, what is happening here? Then they started to figure out, and then he had like, what, a 400-yard game? 500-yard game. Like they did sort of figure it out after the quarter pole of the season. And then lately, again, it's when we were getting ready to play our game, it was the same sort of thing. It's like they don't roll him out. There's not a lot of boots. There's not a lot of true play action where he turns his back and he can really sell the run. It's all the things that I think all of us instinctively would do if you have Bijan Robinson. Like, well, you have a really dynamic running back. Why not use him as a weapon both in the run game and the pass game? And they weren't necessarily doing it. A lot of the play action was just like sidecar, piddly, just like fake little handoff. And it's like, well, nobody's biting on that. Like, you're not fooling it just because it's the action of run. Doesn't mean you're selling the play action. I thought the offense looked lazy. And I got to be honest, all these quote unquote big name wide receivers he has, I don't think they're all that great. I think the reason why they haven't like popped off for all these years is because collectively they're not very good. Now, they might look a lot better with Penix in there because Penix can extend plays. And if you give these guys an opportunity to run a secondary route and they get open down the field, well, yeah, you can probably throw to a Drake London that is bigger and he is breaking off his route. And now you're just in scramble coverage. Those sort of things will probably happen because I am a big fan of Penix. And I was when he was coming out of the draft. And I think that he's going to be great. And I think he's going to fit this offense a lot more than Kirk does.
What happens next year to Kirk? Who takes a chance on him?
Well, if it all plays out like Florio laid out in Pro Football Talk, is that he's not going to waive his no trade. You stick them with the mistake of signing you to this big contract with this guaranteed money, and you just wait to get cut. And by doing that, it just sort of like initiates Atlanta being on the hook for future monies. So he could have a choice as a free agent, sign with any team he wants. He'll be highly sought after because they don't have to pay him very much because Atlanta's stuck with him. He could play for minimum for a team that he really feels like is a good fit and then play another 2 years and have Atlanta pay the bill, at least for the following year.
Tom is already there, so we're going to break real quick and get our commercial out of the way and come right back with a long, extended Tom Pelissero segment brought to you by our friends at Bell Bank, Corey.
Back after this on The Fan.
That's right. We are your snowstorm leader. We're also your Vikings morning show. And we've got the lovely and talented, thanks to our friends at Bell Bank, Tom Pelissero, on with us right now from his palatial mansion where he's got a cast of thousands out shoveling his driveway to make sure he can get out and make it to the airport to get to some undisclosed location for football this weekend. Tom Pelissero, how are you, my friend?
I'm not going to lie. I drove the kids to the bus stop today. I did not exit the car. I have not really felt any of the wind and the elements out there, but it looks pretty nasty.
Yeah.
It's I can see it out the window right now. It's finally, it's December 19th. We've avoided this to this point other than Halloween. So you take the wins where you can get them.
Now, I like this move by you because I'm sure your kids' school is delayed 2 hours, but you're like, just go. You drive in there, you make them wait in the snow.
No delays.
No? Oh, okay.
My daughter tried to convince me, walking back from the bus stop yesterday, that they had already canceled school today. She deadpanned it for several minutes. She's like, I already got at-home learning. Dad, it's canceled. I'm like, what? You would have told me.
Yeah.
And she had me going all the way. She's like, nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just hoping it's canceled. Like,
brilliant.
That's messed up.
Yeah, last night I was saying goodnight to the kids. And they're like, well, I mean, we're not going to have school tomorrow. I'm like, I don't think that right now. You're setting yourself up for disaster because you think that you're going to sleep in and you're probably going to have school. And I think as we speak right now, they're going to school.
Here's the thing, though.
Is the deal just that, we never got nearly as many days off as my kids do now, right? Like you had NBA weekend,
right?
And then you had 10 days over winter break. Now it's like they got 4 different 5-day weekends through the fall. Are they just burning all the off days and so they can't use the snow days? Is that what's happening?
I have no idea, but I will say this, and I have, hey, listen, make them go to school, whatever you got to do. But it is a crime that they make them do at-home learning on snow days, man, because how much fun was a snow day back in the day? Now they got to go to school even they're at home. Yeah. That's terrible. Let them watch Price is Right and throw snowballs at the dog, right? Come on.
Walk down to Mr. Movies, rent a Nintendo game, play it for literally 12 hours straight.
Hell yeah.
Amen, brother.
That's living.
Chris, you were talking about somebody shoveling Tom Pelissero's driveway, right? Famously, there were people that were shoveling Kirk Cousins' driveway when he was the quarterback for the Vikings. My guess is that Darnold did not buy a house here. My guess is he's got some fancy condo for the year as a 1-year bridge quarterback.
Probably, yeah.
I wonder where Sam lives, and if so, could somebody shovel the apartment building's sidewalk or something?
Well, all these NFL players getting robbed during games, Corey, let's not give the exact coordinates on Google Maps to anybody, even if they're trying to be good Samaritans.
That has been a problem, hasn't it? Wow.
Yeah, how about even Glenn Mason last night was on with Barrero saying that he was at Army Navy and somebody threw a brick through his window or something and was about to rob his house until the alarm went off and they scattered. What's going on right now?
Well, there's a South American crime syndicate that the FBI believes is responsible for a lot of the burglaries of professional athletes. It's hit the NBA players. It's hit a variety of people here in the Twin Cities, some of which have been public, some of which have not. And it's a massive issue. I mean, they basically use property records and social media to figure out where you live, when you're out of the house, because everybody posts in real time on social media, even though you should not do that. And then they are in and out before the security systems can bust them. So they go straight to the master bedroom. If you got cash, jewelry, watches lying around, like I know Corey does, that's the stuff they're going to steal. They're not going to unscrew the TV from the wall. They're just going to grab whatever they can and get out, and it's really hard to catch them.
Honestly, as long as they leave my TV, take anything else you want.
Right.
That's my prized possession sauce. Don't give me that look.
They broke into my house. I haven't said this yet. They broke into my house and actually felt bad and left stuff for me. It was sweet of them. They left some jewelry. It was the cutest ever.
It looked like you just ordered stuff from Temu anyway.
Yeah.
You think they come in like Santa Claus with a sack of goodies?
And then they Homer Simpson their way out.
Chris will love all this.
Yeah, he'll love it. Yeah, he ordered it anyway.
This one's for Abby.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Tom, let me ask you the question I just asked Ben a couple minutes ago. What do you think happens with Kirk Cousins next year?
Well, this is a really unique and complicated situation because to give you the broad strokes of Kirk Cousins' contract, it's 4 years, $180 million. There was $90 million fully guaranteed over the first 2 years, and then there's another $10 million in 2026 that becomes fully guaranteed if he's on the roster on the 5th day of the 2025 league year. So March 16th, this coming March 16th, he's still on the roster. An additional $10 million would become fully guaranteed. So that's really the trigger point here. The Falcons don't have to do anything prior to that. They already are paying Kirk Cousins $62.5 million this season. The other $27.5 in those first 2 years is out in next year, which is not a bad number. Well, we'll talk about Kirk's performance in a second and whether anybody's going to want to pay him that money here. But that, as a starting quarterback goes, that is, lower third starting quarterback money. But Cousins also has a no trade clause, and so he can effectively veto a trade anywhere and just say, I'm not doing it, either pay me or cut me. Now, the Falcons can't really call the bluff because, again, you got another $10 million that would become fully guaranteed out into 2026. And so they have to make a decision relatively soon, within the first 4 days of the league year. From a cap perspective, this is all a mess because if you cut him and you don't use a post-June 1 designation, not only do you have to pay him the $27.5 million, which you have to regardless of what designation you use, because much like Russell Wilson last year, a new team is basically just going to give him the minimum. So you're going to pay him $27.5 minus like $1 million in offsets here. But you have a $65 million dead number on your cap in 2025 if you don't use the designation. If you do use the post-June 1 designation, it's flat for 2025. You still have to pay him the cash, but basically he's still on the books for $40 million cap-wise in 2025. But then there's an additional $25 million dead cap hit you got to deal with in 2026. The best option for the Falcons is clearly do whatever it takes to trade Kirk Cousins. Work with him, perhaps eat some of that money. But the problem is you're not going to be able to get value in all likelihood in a Cousins trade because you can just say, there's only one place he's going to go, and the other team can say, well, why are we going to do that? You're going to have to cut him. So the Falcons are in a really, really difficult spot here, and it's part of why you've never seen in NFL history, certainly the recent NFL history of 20-plus years that I've been covering it, a team put together a quarterback room the way that the Falcons did, giving one guy $100 million guaranteed, and then 6 weeks later, minutes after he's on stage and Cousins is, whipping the towel and getting everybody fired up at the draft party, you draft the guy who's going to take his job with the 8th overall pick. We were always going to get to this point. It was, in the Falcons' mind, it was going to be perhaps after this season where Cousins might be playing well enough that you could have more leverage in terms of a trade. Maybe you got multiple parties, multiple teams that he's willing to go to. Instead, Cousins just played badly. And I know that everybody's referring to it as the last 5 games here. It's really the last 3 games because they're on a 5-game skid. And yes, the 1 touchdown and 9 interceptions. But the first 2 games from that skid really weren't terrible. It was the Broncos game where they played well around Cousins and he didn't play well. And then it was the game against the Vikings. And then it was this past Monday night against the Raiders. And the issues for Kirk Cousins, I heard what Ben said, and definitely, there's been are they doing the best thing for him? We all saw the week 1 game where they didn't run any play action, but they seem to be figuring it out. Now when you watch Cousins, the thing that he's always been good at is see it and rip it. Just, where the ball's got to go, one pat, throw the ball. Now you see him patting the ball, and he's, backpedaling and throwing it off his back foot. What the Falcons saw with Cousins, and really this has been all season, is he's not mobile at all. Not that Kirk was ever a runner, but he is completely playing within the pocket. He's not a threat to get out, which maybe is influencing how much they're calling some of the bootlegs and things that Cousins has been really good at. And then also, he's never had like an A-plus arm, but the arm seems to have diminished too. So you take away, the deep ball, which has been a strength for Cousins, and then you take away just the ability to extend plays even within the pocket, and you're left with a guy who's never been the biggest armed or, had the stature that you see in quarterbacks, but he's been able to process with his mind once that seems to not be completely dialed up either, and whether that's the scheme, I don't know enough about, offenses and progressions and things to tell you what it is, but once you're not, processing at an elite level, all those physical limitations start to catch up to you. They've been trying to scheme around it through the course of the season. They got to a point where, even though Raheem Morris didn't say this directly, you get the sense they felt like the rest of the locker room was looking at this and saying, we're all being held accountable. The quarterback is only still playing because you're paying him so much money. And you got this other guy that we really like, who's a different style of player, who maybe can give us a bump here. They felt like they had to make a move that, by no means, regardless of what they did back in the spring, they never expected we'd be going into week 16. And not only do they need help to get into the playoffs, but they're benching the quarterback that they signed for big money.
So you basically, you're kind of answering the question I was going to have you kind of take
That's what I aim to do. No retease.
A poke at. But it's fascinating to me because I really want to know, like, where does the fault lie? Because we go back a year ago and Kirk Cousins was on an MVP run before he got hurt. And now some people the Kirk haters might want to, disprove that and not like that. But the facts are the facts. Like, he was playing at a really, really high level when he got injured. And so now you're trying to, not you, I'm just saying the people around are trying to convince me that after an Achilles injury, which, a lot of guys come back from pretty good. I mean, you look at Cam Akers is doing a heck of a job. He's had 2 of them. And he still runs the ball really well. So you're telling me that this guy comes off of an Achilles injury and all of a sudden now he doesn't have a strong arm. He can't move very well. His processing is slower. I'm like, how is this guy diminished this much in one calendar year off of one injury? That's why I feel like the blame has to lie, at least in the scheme, the lack of coaching. Maybe it's not as high level coaching as he got here, but I'm going to put a little bit of on Kirk. But man, it just seemed like it was a square peg in a round hole right from the very get go.
Well, first of all, Kevin O'Connell's an unbelievable coach, and you're seeing that every single day right now with what he's doing with Sam Darnold. But to micro focus on Kirk, you got to remember, too, he's 36 years old, and there's a lot of medical studies that will tell you 2 things. One, you're never going to be as good your first year coming off an Achilles as you are in the second year and the third year and beyond. And 2, guys over age 30, the recovery back to full prior performance is lower.
Amen.
So you've got an older player who's coming off a significant injury that most guys don't look right the year after. I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers. It's some of the same things. Aaron's older. He's 41. But, the Aaron Rodgers that we've seen extending outside the pocket and making things happen, that guy's not there. He's getting better. Last week was by far the best game that he's played in a Jets uniform. But it's taken quite a while. Now he's well over a year removed from the Achilles surgery. For Kirk, I think that, again, I just go back to his brain has been his superpower. It's been the ability to see it. That's why he also threw a lot of interceptions early in his career, was he would see things and he'd rip it, and sometimes it was the wrong read. But he played with, just kind of this fearlessness and this trust in his abilities to mentally be faster than everybody on the field. Again, I don't know where to cast the blame. I know Zach Robinson is really highly regarded in that building with the Falcons. It's his first year as a play caller, so he's absolutely learning on the go. And he's also trying to figure out, again, how to adapt around some of these limitations that they've seen physically from Cousins at this stage in his career. I am not an expert in quarterback play. Ben, you know a lot more than me in terms of watching the game and seeing where, who is the correct read and things like that on the play. But I know this, when you play like the low light reel from last week of Cousins, every play you're looking at it and he's holding the ball, he's patting the ball, he's starting to backpedal, he's throwing, across his body where he's stepping one way and throwing the other way. Those to me are signs that, again, I can't tell you exactly where the blame lies, but these are signs that a guy who always knew where to go with the football in his days in Washington and Minnesota, right now he doesn't seem confident in knowing where the ball needs to go, or perhaps he's not as confident in his ability to get it there. It's a combination of a lot of different factors. And it all leads us to the reality that now, again, we've seen a few of these this year. Bryce Young got benched, came back in, played better. Anthony Richardson got benched, came back in, played marginally better, more competent, hasn't tapped out of a game, all those things. Cousins, maybe this is bad with Penix. Maybe he plays poorly and they put Cousins back in. The difference is you got 3 weeks left, and a poor Penix performance probably means a loss, and you're out of it in the playoffs. At that point, why would you put Cousins back on the field, risk an injury that could force you to pay him another $10 million? You never can say never. Maybe Penix struggles enough that they decide, Kirk, we're going to keep you around, and we're going to have the two of you both on the roster in 2025. You can't ever say that anything is not going to happen in the NFL, but it certainly seems like Kirk Cousins is going to be looking for a new home in 2025. And then you just ask yourself, based on what we've seen from him this season, is there a Russell Wilson style renaissance out there for him? Or is he a guy who, this is pretty close to the end of the line for him?
One more quick one, Saucy.
Quickly, do you think eventually the Lions just can't outscore everybody because of how banged their defense is?
Well, the defense that was going to catch up with them eventually. Almost the entire front seven is out. And I can't remember a lot of teams with that level of injury in one position group. Then you lose Carlton Davis, who's your top corner, to a broken jaw of all things. I mean, it's incredible. There are guys, and I give Aaron Glenn and Dan Campbell a lot of credit to this point, because they're putting guys out there that I don't know who they are. They literally have signed like 5 guys off other teams' practice squads in the past few weeks and played them. And they've had to, because, we're past the trade deadline. They traded for Zadarius Smith to, help make up for losing Aiden Hutchinson. But there's not just dudes out there on the street right now. It's too late to trade for anybody. It puts them in a really difficult position unless, down the stretch here, I know there's been discussion about would the Dolphins release a Calais Campbell if they're out of it. Well, I think that, the Lions would be blowing up his phone immediately if there's somebody who drops out there. But you have to find a way. In terms of can they outscore everyone, I would tend to believe yes, because they've shown that they can score 40 plus basically every single week. Losing David Montgomery, whether that ends up being for the rest of the season or for several weeks, that's going to hurt them. But you heard Dan Campbell, on the radio the other day, and I don't know if you guys saw the video, I did enjoy, the guy who lurches for the dump button that he probably hasn't had to use in a year, and it clearly doesn't work, and then he just gives look like, not me, it's not on me, let's let him roll here. Dan Campbell's the right guy for this job in terms of, hey, we're going to embrace these challenges. He's not somebody who's ever going to sulk and be woe is me on this thing. But they got a lot of things they got to figure out here. And so if you're the Vikings, a team that has gotten no help through this entire season, and you're winning all these games, and the Lions just keep winning, they lose in a shootout against the Bills, and all of a sudden you control your path to the number 1 seed. You take care of business in Seattle, which is going to be, a tough game. Geno Smith is banged up, tough place to play, but that's a game that, you've got to find a way to win. You win that one. You beat the Packers at home, which is also a difficult game. And then you're going to Detroit with a chance to win the division and also potentially become the number 1 seed, depending what happens with the Eagles the next 3 weeks, and also some of the tiebreakers here. I mean, this is a lot of variability for the Vikings over the next several weeks when you're talking about the difference between being, again, depending what happens in the Packers game, being the 5 or even the 6 seed in the NFC and going on the road to a place like Tampa, where they're scoring a ton of points right now, maybe going to an Atlanta, depending on how things shake out, maybe having to go back to Seattle or go to Arizona or go to the Rams. Big difference between that and having the number 1 seed and kicking back and having a week to rest your bumps and bruises, and then hosting a divisional playoff game and being 1 step away from the conference championship. So there's a lot on the line still for the Vikings these next few weeks. They seem to be peaking at the right time. Offense was a little bumpier this past week against the Bears than it had been the previous week. But, this is a Minnesota team that's risen to every challenge. There's a reason that Kevin O'Connell won Coach of the Year honors going away in the poll I conducted of other executives this past week. He's done an outstanding job. These next 3 weeks are what, people are going to remember in terms of how the Vikings finish this season and how they set themselves up for what they hope is a deep playoff run.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
See you, fellas.
There he goes. And, of course, as always, he is brought to you by friends at Bell Bank. Thank you, Bell Bank. And here's the thing. You want to go to KFAN.com and nominate your charity of choice because of the Pay It Forward program. Again, KFAN.com, just type in the keyword Bell, submit the name of your favorite charity, and KFAN each week is going to choose one lucky listener to give $1,000 of the Pay It Forward charity program from Bell Bank to the charity of choice. And we have had some nominations. Thank you all for participating. This week, Jessica Manatee, I'm not sure, Maneti, nominated Rescue 55021. They provide lifelong care for Minnesota animals through rescue, rehabilitation, foster care, placement in forever homes, or end-of-life comfort care, working to promote and provide loving, caring foster homes as well as reduce the pet population and help educate the public on responsible pet ownership. Thank you, rescue55021.com. And thank you, Jessica. And thank you, Bell Bank, for not only sponsoring .com Tom Pelissero, but for paying it forward at all times. We appreciate you. We love you.
More with Ben Lieber and the rest of the Power Trip Morning Show coming up in a second. We'll do Fan 5. We'll do headlines in the 8 o'clock hour. That's after this on The Fan.
It's a Power Trip snow day on The Fan.